6 o'clock, Tuesday, April the 25th, 2023. I'd like to call this meeting of the Montgomery City Council into session at this time. Excuse me, have a lemon drop in. That was a late entry. We're glad that you are here physically and those tuning in. Thank you for taking an interest in our city. We'd ask that you please silence any electronic devices to avoid any interruptions in our meeting this evening. We do have a quorum present. TJ Wilkerson and Casey Olson are absent. So with that, I invite you to stand and join me in the invocation and the pledges to our flags. Dear Lord, we do ask that your presence be upon us, that you dwell richly in our minds and hearts. We ask for your protective hand upon our citizens, our families, our schools, our institutions, our city, our state, our nation. And Lord, that you would change hearts and minds, that we would seek to understand one another and to communicate well. We ask, Lord, for your hand of favor upon our city specifically. You know the resources we need, and you have all control of all things. And we ask that you bless our city, guide and direct this meeting tonight, and give us wisdom leading to discernment. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. To the American flag, I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
the Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible.
The Visitors Citizens Forum, we have one signed up, Ms. Sarah Countryman.
Mayor, Council, thank you for allowing me to give some feedback. I have been doing some research lately and going through the notes and minutes on the agenda in previous meetings, and I'm having a hard time finding what I need. And the minutes, like even for tonight, approving the minutes for the summer youth program, there were approximately 17 to 18 questions asked. And if you wanted to find an answer to the question or be able to search for it, you couldn't, because the minutes just say there were details given, but not what kind. If we could just get a little bit more detailed, like say what was said, because when you go back and watch the video versus the minutes, it's like there's two different meetings that happened. And so if anybody wants to just go search by culvert or go search by a word or even a number, it would be really helpful to have copious notes in there so you feel like you're part of the meeting and you can easily find it. That's all. I'm just asking if we can have more detail. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, consent agenda item 1, approval of the following minutes. Item 1, regular city council meeting 4/11/23. Item 2, City Council Workshop 4/11/23. Item 3, Joint City Council Planning and Zoning and MEDC Workshop 4/17/2023. What's the council's pleasure? I would like to just kind of share, sponging off of what Ms. Countryman said. Yesterday morning, received an inquiry, for example, from a faith organization trying to set their summer schedule, inquiring about parks and recreation plans, that type of thing, right? And I was able, off my memory, but not off the minutes, to tell them, I think, accurately what we discussed, but it was very general, and it would help to have more details. I would like to say that, just for clarification. So I would agree with that. Now, with that said, what's the council's pleasure regarding any one of these? Do you want to consider a redo of one, which would be that meeting, regular council meeting on 4/11? And the other two okay? And what does the council think?
I was not present at that meeting.
Okay.
You sure it's the meeting or was it the workshop?
That was the meeting.
the meeting?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we had a lot of good discussion, concerns about, if I remember correctly, liability issues related to Parks and
I
Recreation.
certainly think all of the questions that were asked and the response should be reflected in the meeting in as much detail as possible.
Yeah. It wasn't, I'm just not able to get the details, so I was able to address it generally, but not specifically. And it would be good if we had those details to that. So with that said, I would like to see number 1 tabled and redone.
You need a motion?
Need a motion to table to the next date, which would
I move
be,
that we table the approval of the minutes, the meeting on April 11, 2023, so that more detailed information can be included.
and that date would be 5/9/23.
I second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Motion is debatable, amendable, requires majority vote. All in favor of tabling item 1 under consent agenda until May the 9th with more detailed minutes, say yes.
Yes.
Anyone opposed, say no. And we will table item 1. Items 2 and 3, any motions there? Any problems there? I will say I was very pleased. The joint council meeting went very well. I thought that's a step in the right direction to get buy-in and consensus as we go, so that when we're presenting some major decisions for this council or any council, that we don't get it on a Friday with 3 days to look at 300 to 400 pages and make a wise and prudent decision. So we're trying to create buy-in with planning and zoning, EDC, and city council as we go on the major decisions. And I think that went very well, and we seem to be on the same page in many regards. Motion for 2 or 3?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from meetings, workshop on 4/11 and the joint workshop on 4/17,
Motion
as
by-
presented.
As presented. Motion by Carol,
I second.
second by Cheryl. Motion is debatable, amendable, requires majority vote. All in favor of approval of item, consent agenda, item 1, number 2 and 3 as presented, say yes.
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 Any opposed, say no. And we will approve items 2 and 3 under the consent agenda, item 1. All right, items 2, 3, and 4, consideration of possible action regarding escrow agreement by and between the City of Montgomery, Texas, and A&R Eclectics LLC, development number 2301. Item 3, consideration of possible action regarding an escrow agreement by and between the City of Montgomery, Texas, and Montgomery ISD for Lincoln Elementary site renovations, development number 2302. And item 4, consideration and possible action regarding an escrow agreement by and between the City of Montgomery, Texas, and Montgomery ISD for Montgomery Elementary site renovations, development number 2303. Does council want to hear any of those individually, or do I need a motion for consent items 2, 3, and 4?
I just have one question.
Which one?
On all 3 of them,
Okay.
have plans been turned in on the 3 items?
On the-
Or we do the escrow agreement and then plans are turned in?
Right, we approved the escrow agreement. The engineers do have the plans for the school projects, but this is what kicks off the review and basically their time working on it. The school district is anxious because they are aligning, almost every one of their projects with the academic calendar. So we're doing what we can to accommodate them in terms of being able to have an efficient review process and still allow them to meet their timelines while we make sure that we're covering what we need to on behalf of the city.
And so they follow all the codes just like everybody else?
Just like everybody
The
else.
school
Yes, ma'am.
does?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I know this is just escrow, but I talked to school officials about helping as much as they could with the sidewalk. Is that part of the renovation strategy? We wanted to go all the way to the park, or if the school could go to the park and wrap around to the front, then maybe we can pick up from that point. Have you heard any more on that?
They currently do not have a sidewalk planned along MLK, but it's not over until it's built. So we're still
Yeah,
working.
just know that they have money for that. So I hope that comes to fruition. Any others? Items 2, 3, or 4? Thank you, Dave. Go ahead.
I'll make a motion to approve consent agenda items 2, 3, and 4 as presented.
Second.
Motion by Carol, second is by Pat. Motion is debatable, amendable, requires a majority vote. All in favor of approving consent agenda items 2, 3, and 4, say yes.
Yes.
Anyone opposed, say no. And we will approve items 2, 3, and 4 on the consent agenda. Consideration and possible action, item 5. Consideration and possible action by the City Council acting as the Zoning Board of Adjustment on a revised variance request to Section 98-122 of the City Code of Ordinances related to rear yard requirements for 128 Dinah Lane.
Mayor and council, this is a zoning board of adjustment item. We have both the homeowner and the applicant here and had hoped to take action on it tonight, but we are missing, we're one short of a council member because, as you will recall, zoning board of adjustments, those votes have to be a 4/5 of everyone who is seated on the board, in this case, the council. So with only 3 of you, or only 3 council members here, you are not able to act on this item tonight. So we request that you table it until your next meeting.
I'll make a motion to table item number 5 until May the 9th.
Motion by Carol, need a second?
Second it.
Second is by Cheryl. Motion is debatable, amendable, requires majority vote. All in favor of tabling item 5 until the May 9th, 2023 meeting, say yes.
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 Anyone opposed, say no. And we will table item 5. Item 6, consideration and possible action on an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Montgomery, Texas, amending its municipal budget for the fiscal year 2022 and 2023, appropriating the various amounts herein, as attached in Exhibit A, containing findings and a Texas Open Meeting Act clause, and making an immediate effective date.
Mayor and council, I'm standing in for this item. You see both the description there in the agenda cover report as well as Exhibit A for the budget amendment. If you have specific questions on the capital projects, I am going to defer to both the engineers and the public works director. But as the one who packaged it all up, I'm happy to answer any thoughts or questions you guys have about this amendment. Again, this amendment is only focused on the capital projects fund, and the overall net is an increase in $210,000 in the capital projects fund, and you see both in the summary and the ordinance exhibit where those funds are coming from. The bottom line is this is not drawing down any reserves, or it's not affecting our financial position at all.
Just basically some underages and overages and just moving money appropriately.
Yes, sir. When we went through the budget, so every year when we go through the budgeting process, we make an estimate of where we believe those capital projects, which have, generally long timelines. One example would be like on the GLO, like why was their money not spent last year? Well, because we waited 8 months for a generator to get here. It was ordered, and then the delay just with the shipping or the global supply chain caused that not to come in the last fiscal year, even though it was ordered months and months, in advance by the contractor. So, but what this amendment is again, just kind of, it's tying the budget numbers to the progress of these capital projects.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, entertain a motion on item 6. Let's see.
I
Under
move,
recommendation, just read the recommendation part, that should do it.
I thought you needed a motion.
Yeah, a motion.
I move to approve the budget amendment number 2 and adopt the ordinance as is presented.
All right, motion is by Pat.
Second it.
Second is by Cheryl. The motion is debatable, amendable, requires majority vote. All in favor of approving item 6 as presented, budget amendment number 2 as presented, say yes.
Yes.
Anyone opposed, say no. And we will approve item 6 as presented. Okay. Item 7, consideration possible action regarding the bid results for the flagship Boulevard Storm Sewer and Pavement Replacement Project.
Good evening, council. As we talked about at the last meeting, we got bid results in for the project, and during that time, that morning of, we got notice about the use of funds and regarding Lone Star Parkway and Buffalo Springs, which freed up a significant amount of capital, which is what you just approved in your budget amendment. So in the budget amendment you just approved, it allocated $589,908 to the flagship Boulevard project. The low bid on this project was $573,043.50. So our recommendation is to proceed with the contract as presented, or proceed with the work and award the project to Civil and Environmental Engineering Services. You'll see in our packets copy of the recommendation award from me on page 63. We have not worked with this contractor in the past, nor the second low bidder. Both of them, we checked references, they were close, and both had mixed reviews. There was public projects that they did a good job and they came in on time. There's references they gave us from a few years ago where they were a newer company and did not have a best reference. The project came in late. Based on the prices being close together, our recommendation, and both having similar recommendations, it was to go with the low bid of Civil and Environmental Services, in the amount of $573,043.
In other words, all things considered, if they're equal, we're going to take the lower.
Correct.
That's the way it goes, but we
Correct.
don't always have a clear-cut winner as far as quality, right?
Where are they out of?
I do not have that information in front of me. They're a local Houston contractor, but I cannot tell you what part of Houston they were. I can find that out and let you know before the end of the meeting.
Now, at the top of our little worksheet thing, it said budgeted amount was $175,000.
Correct.
Now we're trying to approve $573,000.
Correct.
Did we underestimate this job? What did
So
we
there's a
do?
few things that went into that. So first, when the original budget was done, there was $250 in the original budget. And as we were going through reducing in the budget, this is one of the items that we reduced. So in order to leave funds for other projects. So that was one thing. The scope of the work was also not clear at the time of budgeting because the actual videos of all the pipes had not yet been received. So there was a scope change from the time of the original budget to actually proceeding with design of the project. There were some items that came in high based on our estimate. Specifically, the concrete pipe came in about twice as expensive. And that's just due to supply chain and where that price is today for that large diameter concrete pipe. And that was the main driver in the scope. Now, there are some items that are in the bid that are supplemental items that we will attempt not to use to bring that price down. For example, one of the pipes being replaced is at the corner. Based on our record drawings, it should be far enough back that we will not have to replace that section of pavement as it's not in horrible shape. And so if we don't, that price will be reduced from the final contract amount. And that, I think, equated to, I don't have my notes on that one in front of me, close to $50,000 if I remember right. So still significantly over, obviously, what was in the original budget. And now with the budget amendment, it is within the budget. But it did come in high.
Drove by there the other day and it just is a mess. It's just awful. You've got concrete at 3 different levels. It's just really awful. And it's a sad reality. And supply and demand is what it is. Cost is what it is now. But we absolutely have to do things right and have the quality materials. And I think we need to stick to that.
Yeah, I mean, this is going back with different material pipe, different installation method than what was used back then, thicker concrete to hold up to the amount of truck traffic that's actually on that street. So it's not just kind of patchwork, we're replacing the full lane with a better product to get a longer life out of it.
Did Flagship, just curious, did Flagship come along as Berkshire, that whole development was going?
It was constructed, I believe, around 2004, 2005 timeframe was the date on the plans, which was around, my understanding was around the time of that whole shopping center was coming in, or at least the newer section of that shopping center. Brookshire Brothers might have been there. I'd have to go back and look. But, you know, again, for a road that's 20 years old, it's in really rough shape.
Yeah, we're getting bit by things 20 years ago. Okay.
Well, I think the road is used a whole lot more than
Correct.
was thought it was going to be used.
Probably, no doubt.
Correct. Yeah, a lot of people use it.
Yes.
In a lot of delivery trucks, buses, heavy vehicles. We're not just
Right.
talking passenger cars
Yep.
going down that street.
Any other questions? If not, entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to authorize the city administrator to execute a contract with Civil and Environmental Engineering Services, LLC, in the amount of $573,043.50.
Motion by Carol, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Cheryl. Motion's debatable, amendable, requires majority vote. All in favor of approving item 7 as presented, say yes.
Yes.
Anyone opposed, say no. And we will approve item 7 as presented. Departmental reports, item 8, sales tax report.
Thanks, Mayor. I'll defer to the gentleman from SRI.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. All right, good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you for your time. Direct your attention to the sales and use tax report for April 2023. And then scrolling past the cover page, I'm going to start off with 5,621 active taxpayers on our confidentiality report, bringing your April taxpayers to 2,297, bringing an average to 2,301, and it's a 7% increase over last year of April 2022. The page after that, our April 2023 top 25 sales tax filers, with McCoy, Kroger, and Chick-fil-A at the top, and then your AutoZone, Circle K, and Panda Express at the bottom. Bring it to And then just at the top, February 2023 is still your highest taxpayer count. Page after that will be your top 25 for April, with the McCoy's, Chick-fil-A, and Google, and then Amazon Services, Fubo, and Strixscapes at the bottom. Then I left the paragraph about the your top 25 businesses are contributing 45% of your total sales tax funds for April. And then also for your top businesses that are contributing 1,000 or more, you have 60 of those businesses and they're contributing 63% of your total allocations. The page after that, your comparison to April and March of 2023. And they're both non-quarterly filer months. And so just a switching Caterpillar dropped, and then Google, and then Strixscapes appeared for this month prior to last. Page after that will be your April 2023 allocations summary. And so for April 2023, you received $291,741.42. It's a 5% increase over April of 2022 of $278,593.13. So far for your fiscal year of 2023, we have you at $2,692,043.45, bringing you 55% to your budget. And then for the calendar year at the bottom, 2023, you're at $1,442,860 and 23, and you bring your average to $360,715.06. Just a little shy of 2022, but keep in mind calendar 2022 has all 12 months. And so for this calendar year, you guys are doing excellent. Page after that will be your monthly allocations graph all the way back to 2017, and just reflecting the April payment of $291,741. The page after that will be your previous year month variance and just the 5% increase. And the page after that will be your yearly allocations trends for fiscal year 2023, 2.6. And the page after that will be your median trends, as well as your business entity breakdown graphs. And that'll be changing sometime next month as well, putting in a supplemental for your guys' business area lists. And then the page after that will just be usually the NAICS code index. That's all I have for the report this time. Are there any questions, concerns, or anything you need me to look at the next time I drive? I'll be back in your city here in the next couple of weeks to follow up on what the comptroller gave me as far as their audit list. I gave them a list to audit, and so I'm going to go back and check through everything, finalize the list, and then submit that as a supplemental for you guys next month. Is that it? Questions, concerns?
That list is what again?
So about twice a year, I drive through your city and pick up all the businesses, entities that are within your city limits, regardless of whether they pay sales tax or not. And then I'll spin that list, and then I also go to the comptroller themselves and make sure that the business entities list your confidentiality report matches what my report says. And so if there's any discrepancies, like there are a couple, the Gareth House has some antique places that are actually not slated to the city itself. And then there's a jewelry store that also has a sales tax ID coming out of Magnolia. And so I'm still waiting for a response to that.
Okay,
Good deal.
thank you.
Thank you.
Any others? All right. Item 9, utility operations report.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll defer to the gentleman from H2O.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Howard Wilhite with H2O Innovation. Covering for Jacob the last couple of months. Jacob has a brand new baby as of last weekend, so he's home helping take care of that baby. He'll be back next month. On the report, we had a district alert for the lift pump failure at lift station number 2 on March 26th. When the operator got there, he found out that the pump had tripped out. He reset the pump, and everything seemed to be working fine. So it's just a one-time incident. The next page is your wastewater treatment plant information. Your flow for the month of March was 6,883,000 gallons, with peak flow on March 17th of 319,000 gallons. The average flow was 199,500 gallons for a 3-month average of 216,367 gallons, or 50% of your permitted capacity. The next page shows your wastewater treatment plant information, and everything was compliant at the wastewater plant. No issues on the sampling or in the sample results. Next page is your water system information, and you'll see in the chart that your all your well pumpages for a total of 11,693,000 gallons, flushing of 78,000 gallons. So your subtotal is 11,615,000 gallons. You sold 10,771,000 gallons for 93% accountability with your 1,209 connections. And the last couple of pages of the report are just general information, historical information. And that's all I have, unless y'all have any questions.
If not, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Item 10, utility billing report.
Mayor and Council, you've got the report in front of you. The revenue for last month was $169,000. I have just over 1,000 accounts. You see that number just, slowly going up every month, which makes sense. We issued 51 building permits last month, 8 new homes, 5 commercial renovations or new builds, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have on it.
What is miscellaneous?
I don't know, but
Revenue.
I'll find an answer.
4,000 something dollars. Surely it has a line item of its own,
Sure.
unless somebody donated some money to the city.
I don't know that that was the case, but I'll be glad to find out and get you guys an answer on what the miscellaneous, revenue was.
I really would like to know.
Sure.
Any others? All right. Thank you. Public Works?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. You have the report in front of you for the month of March. Be happy to answer any questions directly related to the report.
So I want to thank you and your staff for being so timely when we have the little leaks and stuff like that. I apologize for sometimes the characterization we get from the citizens when they say the streets are flooded, then I got to go with the streets are flooded, but thank you for
It
stepping up,
happens.
Mike.
You bet. That's what we're here for.
Any others? All right, thank you, Mike.
All right, thank y'all.
Item 12, Police and Code Enforcement.
Evening, Mayor and Council. You have police report and also code enforcement in front of you there. Do you have any questions on any of those items?
Hired another officer, I see.
Yes, sir.
Are we getting there, or are we?
Slowly, we're getting there.
Okay.
Any other questions?
No, I've seen a very good presence and you kind of casing some traffic flow things out. I think that's pretty good to, isn't that what you're doing? You put out a memo or something to that
Right,
effect
on the initiative,
Facebook,
traffic initiative, yes, sir.
and your presence is well seen. That's good.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Item 13, Municipal Court. Kimberly.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. The court report for March 2023, we had 82 citations, and the collections was $28,760.79. Do you have any questions for the municipal court? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kim.
Item 14, City Engineers.
All right, good evening. Hit the highlights of our report. The generator project at Water Plant 3, the contractor finished the punch list items earlier this week. We're scheduling a final walkthrough to confirm those, and then should have closeout documents for you, I hope by the next meeting. Your 15-year infrastructure plan, we're sitting down with city staff later this week to review our results. The water line, the old Plantersville extension projects, we did have a meeting with MISD last Friday to discuss easements and discuss just long-term planning of the district and city facilities. So those are moving forward. Moving on, page 2 of our report, 99 of your packets. The downtown improvements projects, we did receive all the additional survey work, and so all those designs, including the downtown design, is underway. Downtown sewer rehab project is substantially complete. We received all the videos and tables that we require, so we'll be scheduling a final walkthrough likely next week on that project. The 2023 rehab project, again, we have all the survey work, and we'll be submitting to TxDOT by the end of this week or first of next week for their approval. Flagship we talked about, we did find out that the contractor is based out of Spring. So
It's out of where?
out of Spring.
Oh, thank you.
And with that project on the timeline is they're expected to start right after Memorial Day and be done by the end of the summer. That's the goal. Developments are all listed below. Highlights, Montgomery Summit Business Park. We approved plans for them back on April 6th for an additional building at the hard corner of 1097 and Summit Business Park Drive. The Redbird Meadows development, we did approve their drainage report on March the 29th. Lincoln Elementary returned comments back on April the 14th for their improvements. We received revised plans earlier today or yesterday. And just to note, kind of all the MISD projects that are coming up that you'll see. So obviously Montgomery Elementary, we talked about earlier. The CTE and Ag building, which we've discussed. They're doing a turf improvements project, so there'll be an escrow account coming for that, where they're replacing the grass fields with turf out at on the baseball and softball fields of the athletic complex, and then ultimately high school improvements as well. So a lot going on with MISD.
Do they have one certain person that you're dealing with, or are you dealing with?
From MISD, there is one single representative on the emails, but there are different there's at least 2 different consultant teams, 3 different consultant teams on the different projects. So the turf field, as that's a specialty, has a consultant for it. The new CTE building has a separate team, and then the renovations for MES and Lincoln are one team.
So there's not one person that you can call at MISD and that you go to. You have to go to all of these different people?
We haven't run into that yet. Last week, Dave and I sat down with Chris Lynn to go over the projects and the status and everything else. And if there's an issue with MISD, that will be our contact to go to, because he's involved in overseeing that all those projects are moving forward.
Very good.
Plat reviews, no real things to note. We did have no objection to the amending plat for the shops in Montgomery Section 2. This is to accommodate the Lupe Tortilla that's been approved. And they're waiting for signatures to bring that in to be recorded. Ongoing construction projects, the Montgomery Bend mass grading project. If you look at the top of the following page, they have started construction of their off-site water line. They did also send us plan revisions last week for some additional work due to an easement issue they ran into. So we are going through those revisions. And last items I think I want to hit are the 1097 in Buffalo Springs and 105 in Buffalo Springs traffic signals. We had a call with TxDOT last Monday, and they advised us that both those signals are wrapping up design. They expect to have the design of both those signals complete by June. However, there is not a timeline for construction anytime soon. So they'll be designed and on the shelf unless something drives them differently. And then the last items on there, Lone Star Bridge repairs, county's receiving bids tomorrow, the 26th. Intersection improvements, we sent comments back to the signalized intersection earlier today, had a follow-up phone call, and our comments are basically helping the city plan for the future and moving the poles and the control boxes further out. So if the city decides to put in turn lanes or widen Buffalo Springs, the signalization equipment is already out of the way. And that's all I have. You'll see the updated map of all the developments in and around the city and their various stages, and then a summary schedule of the ongoing projects on the last 2.
What do you think they're doing at the piece of property that is on the map that says Home Depot? What do you think they're doing there?
Going to be a Home Depot, but as far as the timeline of it?
No, there's 2 big trucks that have been there for
I think that's
a
just
week or
parking.
so.
Somebody just parked.
That's just parking.
Now, these guys are,
Soil samples.
there you go. That's what I
We got a
thought.
locate for it.
Okay.
Got it. Sorry, I wasn't aware of that.
No, that's fine. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay, and entertain a motion to approve departmental reports, items 8 through 15.
Make a motion that we approve the reports as stated.
Motion is by Cheryl,
A second.
second by Pat. Motion is debatable, amendable, requires a majority vote. All in favor of approving departmental reports, items 8 through 15, say yes.
Yes.
Anyone opposed, say no.
Did we not have a city administrator report?
I don't have anything tonight, unless you have any questions.
Oh, look
Thank
at
you,
Keep
you.
it simple.
Well, they
Somebody
wanted
might
me
have
to
any
approve 8 through 15, and I was like, I didn't hear one of them. Thank you.
All right, so we,
So my answer is yes, I approve them.
okay, so we have approved items 8 through 15. All right.
Motion to go into executive session?
We're good with that?
Yes? Yeah.
Gary?
Yes, sir.
Can I ask you to come here for a second?
Yes.
Give me some clarification. All right, executive session adjourned in closed session in compliance with section 551.001 ETSEQ. Texas Government Code to wit, section 551.071, consultation with attorney, 551.074, personnel matters, and 551.087, deliberation regarding economic development negotiations, and chapter 551 of the Government Code of the state of Texas. It is 6:41, and we are adjourned into executive session. It is 7:24, and we are back into regular session from executive session. Does council have a motion?
Yes, I move that the city, to authorize the city to enter into a separation agreement and general release with the senior accountant.
We have a motion by Pat, we have a second by
I second.
Sarah. This motion is debatable, amendable, requires majority vote. All in favor of the motion, say yes.
Yes.
All opposed, say no. And we will approve the motion as stated. Council inquiry. All right, on Friday, May the 12th, council may have come across an opportunity here for the Texas Municipal League regional meeting. There was a little bit of confusion about whether we even needed to sign up. So the latest is we do need to sign up. Just let Nikki know, and you'll sign me up for that, please. And that is on Friday, May the 12th in Navasota. We'll be touring the historic Smith Hotel, have a walking tour of revitalized downtown that I think is good to get some ideas about our own revitalization plans. And a lot of Q&A is involved in that as well. And there'll be other opportunities for council coming up. Keep an eye on it because some of them are online that you can do to get ideas about economic development. That was the main thing that came out, that we all want to have economic development strategies. And so get educated and bring your ideas, and we'll kick it around and do what's best for the city.
What's the timeline on May the 12th?
May 8th. Everything has to be registered by May 8th.
I know, but what's the timeline of
It's
what-
a
like
9 a.m. to 3 on that Friday, right? It doesn't go to Saturday?
No, it's just,
It's just a Friday.
it's all day.
9 to 3.
And my granddaughter graduates from Baylor. We're like going up to Baylor.
You get to board a bus for a tour. You get to see a bottling company. Lots of good stuff here. Anything else? All right, entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Second?
Second.
All in favor say yes.
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 7:26, and we are